Hello, everyone, and welcome to the latest episode of WSP's Anticipate Podcast, where we invite experts and thought leaders to share unique perspectives on future trends, hot topics, and future solutions to complex problems. Thank you, everyone, for joining us today to mark International Women in Engineering Day 2021. I'm your host, Shona Wood. I'm the Head of Integrated Project Delivery and Architecture for WSP in the Middle East. And I'm delighted to be joined today by our two guests, Razan Mohammed from AMAALA and Ruaa Mahmoud from WSP Middle East, who is based in KSA. And today we'll be hearing about their journeys into engineering and construction. So Razan and Ruaa, welcome and thank you again for joining us in today's discussion. I'd just like to give you a little bit of background information on our two guests today. If I speak about Ruaa first, Ruaa completed a Bachelor of Engineering, majoring in Electrical and Computer Engineering at King Abdulaziz University in Saudi Arabia. She's also spent some time at Iowa State University in the United States as a summer research assistant, and Ruaa joined WSP Middle East in March 2021 as part of our graduate program intake. Razan graduated from the University of Washington, majoring in electrical engineering. She was also part of AMAALA's elite program, which equips young Saudis with hands-on experience to prepare them for future jobs at AMAALA. And Razan, I believe, joined AMAALA in 2020 and is currently working as a development specialist. So, Razan, if I can come to you first with the first of our questions for today. What made you decide to choose a career in engineering, and what were the key influences in your decision?
Hi, everyone. First of all, thank you. This is a really great opportunity to be able to speak in this podcast and to celebrate International Women's Day. I would like to start by saying what influenced my decision to pursue an engineering career. It was like most of what engineering student says. I was good at math and I loved math and I loved problem solving, and I was a creative growing up. I was solving everything that was broken around the house, and I was like getting these little projects. And so my father have noticed that, and he was like, Razan, I think you would make a good engineer, and the first woman in engineer in our family, it's going to be you. And I was like, yeah, maybe I will be an engineer. And then growing up, I searched more, and the idea grew on me. I was like, yes, I'm going to grow up to be a woman in engineering. And then fast forward, I got my scholarship to study in the University of Washington, which is one of the best universities in engineering, has a very strong program. So I started in the University of Washington in 2014. And it was until my first year in University of Washington that I had so many doubts about engineering. There was a lack of representation in engineering. I didn't know if engineering was the good path for me. I thought of switching my major to another major, but it was until I started my first year in college, and I remember attending one event. It was led by Society of Women Engineers, and that event there was a panel of women in engineering field. And I remember one particular woman, she was an electrical engineer in NASA, and she spoke so much about her experience and the projects that she was working on. And it was until that moment that I was like, I can see another woman in engineering excelling, and I can see her doing well, and I can see myself be that woman for other women in the future. In that moment, I actually had the confidence needed to continue my career and to continue pursuing engineering. And until that day, it has been an amazing experience joining AMAALA as an engineer. And I'm surrounded by an amazing team of engineers, a very inclusive and very good environment for women in engineering. So it has been a good experience overall for me.
So you believe you made the right choice?
I believe I made the right choice, and I want to tell other women and young women that it's good to be an engineer. If you like it, just pursue it and be confident in what you believe in.
And Ruaa, what were your first influences to make your decision?
Ironically, parental guidance, mentors, advice, I did not have any of that in terms of pursuing engineering. In retrospect, growing up and my upbringing, I was a curious cat. God knows, like I would ponder into the unknown and be asking questions, and anything that was unknown, it would fascinate me. And it was this turning point when I watched this one movie called Astronaut Farmer. And this farmer was able to make it into space. And it was at that point that I felt like I could go into space, and I felt like I would want to pursue a career in something astrophysics, aeronautical engineering, something that would get me into space. And so as a kid, I felt like it was realistic. And growing up, I still do feel like I would get there. And that's what actually encouraged me to choosing engineering and choosing electrical in computer engineering. So whatever that would get me to work on spacecrafts or work on autonomous systems or robotics that would help astronauts or help me get to the International Space Station. So anything that kind of does assist that vision of going into space.
Can I just ask, when you both decided to go into the engineering undergraduate programs and went to the various universities, did you feel that you connected with other female students who had similar journeys to yourselves?
Yes, actually, when I think it was the first year of engineering, it was that we talked and we got to see other girls and other females that chose engineering, and we were pondering about why did you choose this field of study. And you would feel that sense of, oh, you chose it for this reason. It would be very different from your own reason and your personal experiences, and you get that sense of familiarity or that sense of belonging with other people that are the same gender as you, and you kind of like form this squad or this like sisterhood like group where, okay, we got this, and you got like, okay, we can conquer the world, we're women in engineering and everything's amazing and rainbows.
I think for me it was the same. I was having all of these self doubts when I entered college, but I think it was the moment when I found like Society of Women Engineers, and I found women in the field and doing amazing stuff in the field, and I found that support system of other women around me that were very encouraging and very supportive. That's when I knew like engineering is such a good major and such a good career path, and I want other women, other young women to know that for sure.
Moving on to our second question then is, as female engineering graduates looking for your first career opportunities, what factors were important to you when assessing sort of potential employers? What things were you looking for from your first work experience? And how much research did you do? Ruaa, can I ask you to answer that first?
It's a good question. Personally speaking, I don't think I had strict factors or like strict parameters to look into in terms of finding a job straight out of college. However, doing my co-op internship at a nationwide company, I felt like I wanted to do my first job in an international global company, seeing as how I would be more exposed to a wider variety of different experiences, having people coming in from other countries where they applied, say, a certain technology in that country, and how it would be applied in our KSA systems, politics, or things that let's just say engineering policies. So it would give me a very different perspective. That was one main factor, a global or international company. And with that comes, of course, the diverse culture. Gender balance was a main thing as well, I think.
I think for my first job, I've done my research and I've done so much research. I was like, I want a company. And the first thing was like, I want a company that is diverse and has an inclusive culture. That's something that I really wanted. And I looked in each company, and I remember I looked at the way how they interview me. Do they speak to me? How they would interact with me? And I wanted to be in that inclusive space, that inclusive, very encouraging space, because I knew like engineering, if in engineering gender balance is not going to be there, you're going to be 10% engineers in the site. So I wanted to make sure that is in a very inclusive space. And I think I was very lucky to be in AMAALA. I feel that every day at work. I feel that in the team around me. I feel like how they encourage me to share my ideas. And I also wanted, coming back to Saudi, I wanted to be in a big project. I've been always very purpose driven, and I wanted to add value. And I feel like coming back to Saudi and be in such a big project as AMAALA and part of the 2030 vision, I feel that sense of adding value and adding purpose to the company, to the country in a way. And I'm very happy about where I am now.
So since joining AMAALA and WSP, what have your experiences been like in terms of the support that you've received, the atmosphere and the environment that you've been working in? Do you feel that that's been supportive and inclusive? And how important do you think, you talked before about, the Society of Women Engineers and how important networks are. Do you feel in your current roles that you've got that support network, either internally from your employer or externally with other female professionals?
I think I've got that. I'm lucky to get that in AMAALA. I've been in the engineering team that I'm part of under the development department has been very, very supportive and very encouraging. My manager, Khalid Thabit, has been one of the most people who's been very encouraging to me to make sure that my ideas and my thoughts are heard when I first started with AMAALA as an intern. He was telling me before every meeting, Razan, I don't want you to just attend the meeting. I want you to speak in the meeting. And then I want you to lead the meeting. I felt that sense of support since my first day here. And I think that kind of environment is very encouraging and very healthy for women to be in.
For me, I actually haven't been in a lot of tasks or teams, projects that included a team. However, I would say that the one or two projects that I did work on with other engineers, and the other engineers, they were mostly men, I was heard. And even though I was just a fresh graduate and being the only female in the room, I was heard, and my thoughts or my ideas actually were given a chance at the table. Like, okay, this is what you had to say. It does have value. Let's talk about it. So I do feel that inclusivity with the team, and especially like with men, even though that would be kind of scary at first, being, oh, I'm just a fresh graduate, or oh, I'm the only lady in the room. But you do feel that sense here, here at WSP, especially, that you are heard no matter your gender, no matter your experience or your expertise level.
I think it is important. Speaking from my own experience as well, I think we're always going to be in the minority in the room, whether it be a meeting, whether it be a project, we're always going to be in the minority. So it is important to make sure that your voice is heard, and to hear that you've got some male colleagues who are almost acting as allies and encouraging you to speak up and encouraging you to participate. I think that's great to hear. And I think that's what we need to see a lot more of. So that's all very positive. Moving on to the next question. You've both experienced studying abroad, but you obviously both decided to return to KSA to start your professional careers. What influenced that decision? And do you think your experience of working at AMAALA and WSP on such amazing projects that we're all working on in Saudi will help to encourage other female graduates to follow in your footsteps?
That's I think, a compound question. But for me personally, I only came back because of family reasons. But I would say, how would my role influence others? Here's the thing. Taking, for example, the two Emiratis that are now going to go into space. Seeing as how I wanted to go into space 10 years, 15 years ago, and then seeing it now, it gave me the sense of, okay, if they can do it, why can't I? And seeing it more so for the female that was chosen. Okay, if she can do it, what's standing in my way to actually pursue something that would get me into space, or a job or a vocation that would actually help me get there? So yeah, I do believe that me working at WSP and working at mega projects, it does actually give that one girl that is, studying engineering, or that one girl in high school that sees a female taking part in mega projects, that sense of familiarity and that sense of, okay, she's doing it, I'm pretty sure I can do it, or I'm pretty sure there's a means to a way that would get me the same opportunity as her.
It's interesting because I'm just thinking back to when I was kind of just finished, graduated, and thinking about, what to do next. And where you have sort of returned to your home country, I left my home country because there were more opportunities potentially in construction in the UAE at that time. And I now look back in my career and I think, had I not made that decision at that time, I wouldn't have had the benefit and the experience of working on all the amazing projects that have happened in the UAE. And I see KSA is almost being the next evolution of that. KSA potentially, with all the projects that are being discussed, is going to be a really exciting place for engineers in the next 10 years. Moving back there to work, I can quite understand that would be attractive to you. And obviously, Razan, you're working for AMAALA, so you're going to be potentially involved in a lot of those projects.
Yes, for me particularly, I remember that my first or second year of college, when I was pursuing my electrical engineering degree, I remember family members would come to me and be like, what would you do with an electrical engineering degree in Saudi Arabia? And I didn't have something to say back to them because there was no woman that I can point at and be like, oh, there is this woman who's an electrical engineer and she does so and she works in a really great project. So the first 2 years I was like, yes, I need to find an opportunity in the United States. I can't go back. There is no opportunities for me. Everyone keeps telling me that there is no opportunities for women engineering in Saudi Arabia. By the time I graduated, and I joined AMAALA around the time that COVID hit. So I graduated, COVID hit, and there was no opportunity everywhere in the world. No opportunity, not for women in engineering, not in other majors, and not in other disciplines. And I was so lucky to find, at that time, Saudi has been still going very strong in all of its big projects. And I've got such a good opportunity working in a very good project back in my home country. I was like, of course, I would choose going back and be around my family in my home country, working in a very good project, very big project that will potentially be revolutionary in Saudi Arabia's history. So yeah, definitely having those opportunities back home is what influenced my decision, and it made me so excited and proud to be back to Saudi.
So just leading into our last question and last topic for discussion, I personally have noticed, and I know there's a lot of discussion in the industry, that there's been a trend, and not just female professionals, just across all undergraduates, there's been a bit of a trend over the last, I would say, 10 years, where students have considered careers in other sectors, in business, finance, technology, maybe because they appear more rewarding or more satisfying. What more do you think that we can do as engineering professionals and engineering consultancies to attract not just female engineers, but students in general into engineering and construction? Either personally or from a business point of view, what more do you think we could be doing as an industry?
Seeing the first step that WSP took and providing the graduate program for both genders, that itself is a good step forward. However, there is, talking about the Middle East and Saudi Arabia specifically, culturally speaking, there's this stigma of, oh, a woman cannot take a role or a vocation that is more known to be suitable for a guy, looking back at history. And as Razan has mentioned earlier, that where people have told her, oh, why did you choose electrical engineering? That doesn't sound like a position or like a job suitable for a person like you, specifically because you're a female. And I've been told that numerous times, and I've had friends that have been told that. So I think if we were to break that barrier down and just talk with our community and people, friends and family, about how it's normal for women in engineering to pursue such fields or to pursue such jobs where it's more known, quote unquote, where a man would be more suitable, and whereas it would be a hindrance to the female to pursue that position or that job.
For me, I think what will make engineering look very more attractive, I think highlighting engineers and what engineers do, having a platform to showcase engineers, having a podcast like this, talking about engineers and engineers' life and the project that they work on. Engineers are part of every good project. They've been in every discipline out there. And I think highlighting engineers, talking about engineers and having engineer stories heard, that would make engineering more attractive. And I also believe, as Ruaa said, graduate programs, where I feel like when you go to college pursuing engineering degree, and then you know that there is so many graduate programs out there that would take you and train you as an engineer after you graduate, that would make you feel like engineering is a really good profession and a place that you would benefit from.
Yeah, it's interesting. We had a presentation last week where we invited a number of engineers. It was architects, project managers, and we had a presentation where they were showcasing their projects last week. And it was really inspiring just to see how passionate a lot of these people were about their projects. And maybe what we should be doing is we should be sharing that on a wider platform to let more people see what we do, the different roles that we have. We have a lot of female professionals working in different aspects of the engineering and construction industry. And maybe we do need to shout out a bit more about that and let people see what the potential careers that they could have and the type of projects that they could be working on would be. Maybe we keep it to ourselves just too much.
Yes, I remember there is one event in my university. It was like Engineering Discovery Day, and we had kids from 4th and 5th grader comes to our school and comes to actually our classrooms, come to the labs and see, and we talk to them about our project, our like senior project, what we're working on robotics and all of those things. We were explaining to them in a language that we'd understand. And you can see the spark in the kids' eyes. We're like, wow, like I'm going to grow up to be an engineer. This is so cool. And I feel like having that space open for other people, not even kids, but like having that space open and be like, look what you can do with engineering. Because I remember like for electrical engineering, as Ruaa said in the beginning, you can do so many things. You can be involved in something that in the medical field, in the construction field, in different fields, in computer and technology fields. And I think showing that to people and showing those things that we're working on, the research that engineers are working on in university, outside of university, that would make engineering more attractive and more people would be interested to pursue a degree in engineering.
Can I ask you both, obviously you've been working now for Ruaa, you've obviously been with WSP a few months, and Razan, you've been with AMAALA. Having now been in the sort of work environment and being part of that, do you see your careers developing in this industry? Do you see a career path for yourselves? Or have you thought about maybe changing direction slightly now that you've seen the sort of wider, what opportunities are available to you?
I do have to say that working in the industry, as opposed to having just studying engineering for 5 years, it does give you a broader horizon into knowing what avenues you can take. So working at WSP, I have learned of different things that I wouldn't have known, especially in construction, like electrical engineering in construction. And so it did give me a broader horizon, maybe not what I would want to pursue per se. Like I wouldn't want to do electrical engineering in construction. However, electrical engineering in renewable energy that WSP does consult on, that was something very nice and very intriguing for me to actually look upon further. Seeing as how I am a tree hugger at heart, so I would want to give back to the environment and I would want to just make people's lives better being an electrical engineer.
You don't still have an aspiration to be an astronaut?
Well, that's still there. But I mean, I've got a lot of things going on, but yeah.
And Razan, how do you see your career developing?
I've been now 9 months with AMAALA, and I think I'm seeing my career developing. As Ruaa said, sometimes it's like what you don't want to do. I remember I was like working on like electrical power systems, and I was like, no, I don't like electrical power systems. And then when you have that support system, that manager who hears you, he was like, okay, what do you want to work on? I was like, I like more to work on security systems and ELV systems in buildings. And he was more than happy to be like, okay, this is a project about security systems and go work on it. Do you want to work on fire life safety in buildings? And so I've been exploring so many things now. And I think as a continue and grow in my career, I would learn more and I would get more involved. It's a learning process every day. And I feel like every day I'm discovering something new that I want to learn so much about, and things that are like, I don't think I will I think I had enough learning in this area. I would rather switch to another area and learn more in that direction. So it's been a journey.
Is that something, Ruaa, and obviously you're part of the graduate training program, is that something that you feel is benefiting you in terms of, helping you to decide which direction you want to go in, and the fact that you're getting the opportunity to experience different aspects of our business? So it gives you a chance to, almost spend a few months focusing on one particular aspect. And then as you get to the end of the sort of 12-month graduate training program, you can then choose and decide which aspect of, the engineering business you feel is something that you want to pursue as you move forward.
Yes, very much so. I mean, regardless of the rotations that are mandatory, from I think the first week I was working on web development, and as well as going on site and doing electrical readings from electrical drawings. So I was exposed to a wide variety of tasks, and I learned a lot. And I saw that regardless of the rotations that I was going to be exposed to, I was getting that educational exposure that really did truly help me understand what my major would be like in the industry, if that kind of makes sense, and how much opportunities there are.
And is that the same for you, Razan? Do you get the opportunity to be involved in different aspects of, the AMAALA business?
I think that was the same for me, because coming here as a fresh grad, and I think that's the perks of joining a graduate program, that you have that opportunity to go around to learn from different teams to learn. So I was, as Ruaa, I was like, I want to help the environment. So I went to the sustainability. I read a lot in the sustainability. I worked with the sustainability team, and I've been learning so much. So I think I've had this opportunity, and I think as I will grow with AMAALA, I will have it more in the future, to work with different teams. Now I think the next stage, I'm going to go to project delivery, work on the site for a little bit, because I want to see the action happening there. So it has been a really good opportunity to be in the graduate program, and people were more than happy when you come to them and be like, I have a quick question. And they were like, yes, have a long question. How can I help you? What do you want to learn? And I come with a question, and people would be more than happy to sit with me for half an hour, and be like, oh, I will explain this to you. Are you interested? Do you want to help in this area? And that was very encouraging and very good to have around.
A quick question, if I might ask, is Shona, being a female in the engineering field, what are some challenges that you have faced in the industry, and how did you overcome them?
I think we touched on briefly earlier on. I think my career has spanned 30 years. And I think, as I said before, as a female engineer, I think generally you're going to find yourself in the minority in the room. I've worked in design offices, I've worked in site offices, I've worked in the role that I'm doing just now. So I've worked in a number of different capacities, and I've always been in the minority. That just goes without saying. But I think at the end of the day, you just have to be passionate about what you do. You need to believe in yourself. And I think as long as you're acting professionally and you're good at what you do, I think you will always be judged on merit at the end of the day. And I think you just need to be true to yourself.
That's amazing.
But I think when I look back in my career and I look at all the amazing projects, both in the UK and, in the Middle East that I've worked on, if I hadn't made the decisions that I made, and if I hadn't taken the opportunities that I was given, even though I maybe was in two minds about it and I wasn't quite sure what to do, I wouldn't be in a position now to look back and say, I've had a great career and I've been involved in some amazing projects. And if I hadn't made the decisions that I made and taken the opportunities that I was given at that time, I wouldn't be able to do that now. So look for opportunities. If you're offered any opportunities, seize them with both hands.
I guess a follow-up question. Or did you feel that you had to put in more initiative than your male counterparts?
I think to a certain extent that's true. I think particularly when you're at the stage that you're at in your careers, at the earlier years of your careers, I do think, you're a new female professional in a male-dominated sector. So I do think you do need to work a bit harder. You do need to be quite resilient, and not, if you get any negative commentary or find yourself in situations where you feel maybe that your voice is not being heard or you're being treated as the graduate, I think you just have to take that on board, but always just have faith in yourself, and just persevere. I mean, I think that's one of the things, just persevere.
Shona, you would be an amazing mentor, honestly. All of this 30 years of experience, that would...
Obviously in the role that I'm doing now, I've been doing for, I don't know, 2 or 3 years. And obviously as a leader within our business, I see one of my main responsibilities is to encourage. Recruitment is something that obviously we do all the time, but in terms of recognizing people's potential and helping people grow professionally, I see as being one of my main sort of responsibilities now, which is why I really enjoy this conversation. I've also been involved in sort of graduate assessment sessions, and it's always encouraging just to see that passion and enthusiasm at the beginning of your careers, and hoping that you have as fulfilling a career as I've had. Just finally, one question: how important do you feel to have sort of mentors and coaches and role models within organizations is, in terms of, people who you can talk to, who can guide you, to help you to fulfill your potential and get you to where you want to be in terms of your sort of long-term career aspirations?
I was just going to say it's relatively important. External motivation can only do so much. If you don't have it within yourself, it's going to be extra hard for someone to constantly encourage you, to constantly motivate you to go after your aspirations and your goals in terms of the engineering field. So I wouldn't say it's detrimental. However, it does help a lot, and it does facilitate more means into knowing what is possible, what is out there, what is not out there, or basically what you could do, and what you could actually innovate and go outside the box and make things happen out of nothing.
I agree with Ruaa. Like, you need that internal motivation, but I strongly believe in mentors and having mentors in your life. I've always pursued having mentors in my life since my first year in college, when I was like, I am going into engineering. I need to know women engineers who have done this, and I need to reach out to people who have been far ahead from me. So I always connect with people who are far ahead in their career. People who, like, for me now, where I stand now, they will be the end point in like 2 years, and be like, how was your experience? And I feel that has accelerated so much and makes you learn so much, because it's good to have a hands-on experience and experience things for yourself. But there's people who have been through this before. Since my first year in school, I joined the Society of Women Engineers, and then I started a mentorship program in the university because I wanted people to connect with mentors. As I left and graduated from university, I was lucky in AMAALA that, like, my manager has been a really good mentor of, like, terms of where courses that I should take, areas that I should explore, and all of these things. And like, you get, I think in a mentor, you get that like 10 years of experience, one person that can transfer that knowledge to you. So I think that's very, very, very important for people to have mentors in their life.
Yeah, I think it's probably a combination of both. I think, as Ruaa said, you need to have that internal motivation and that desire. And then I think where mentors and coaches can assist is where they can channel your ambition and your enthusiasm, and guide that and channel that and put some focus around that. So I think it always needs a combination of both. Well, can I thank you both for your time today? It's been really interesting. It's great to see your enthusiasm and your passion for what you're doing. And I look forward to seeing you both again soon and hearing about your career development.
Thank you so much for having us.
Thank you for having us, and thank you for this platform and for celebrating International Women's Day. And honestly, I feel so privileged to be in this platform. Thank you so much.